This is Inside Mside, your favorite podcast for all things Morningside. Hear stories from students, alumni, faculty, and more about what makes the Morningside experience so special. Welcome back to another installment of Inside Mside. I'm excited for not only, it was great getting to chat with you, chat a little bit about your background and learn a bit about your time at Morningside and how it impacted and influenced your life, where you ended up going career-wise and professionally. But now I'm excited and looking forward to the second installment to get into the weeds just a little bit. I mean, I know I want to go 30,000 foot with you, but we'll get into some of the specifics and just learn a little bit about this transition from the professional world stepping into this role as interim president, because as we said in that first installment, if you didn't catch it, I'm pretty excited. I get to sit down here today on this podcast with our interim president, Chad Benson. He's a 1990 grad. His brother's a grad as well. This last installment, you'll have to listen to it if you haven't. Chad sat down to talk a little bit about his family, his time at Morningside, but Chad, thanks for your willingness not only to sit down and talk through your background, but now to take a second to get into kind of your vision for the future of Morningside, because I know you're excited.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and share a little bit about my journey. And, I'm excited to also talk a little bit about, the future.
What was it like then? We kind of ended talking a little bit about advice, your family, and your professional career. Talk to me about, to start this off, from your professional career leading you back to Morningside. So, I mean, as far as an alum, going from an alum to, hey, maybe you come back for a homecoming, maybe you come back and do some of those things, to then I know you joined the board a number of years ago. Yeah. What was that transition like? When did you join the board, and what was that journey like?
Yeah, so I President Reinders, John, asked my brother and I to be on the board. I think it was 2016.
Oh yeah, because was Chris on the board too? Okay.
We came
I didn't
on
realize
at the same time.
That.
Yeah,
Great.
so which was great. We had the opportunity to be on at the same time, and for me, I had always kind of wondered what was it like to be on the board at Morningside, and when John called to say, hey, can you come over and talk to me, I really wasn't quite sure exactly what that was going to be about. So I had a chance to talk to John, and I was really intrigued by his vision. I had spent kind of a number of years kind of wondering, coming through the 80s and 90s and then the transition the university went through, trying to figure out kind of, what all went on, and then coming back to campus, honestly, and, a couple times and seeing the transformation. For me, I was like, I really want to get on the board. When John asked, I was like an immediate yes. I wanted to, figure out how I could have an impact, personally, giving my time, but also, resources. And so that became very important to me. It's been 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
because our board is very much so, if you're not on the board or don't know about that, it's really an opportunity to lean in. Yeah. To shape the future of Morningside, to be a part of those decisions, to use your ability to really impact, whether it's through donations or solicitations, but talking through that, but also just sharing your experience and really how you can impact this place and kind of guide the ship.
Yeah, I think, for John and Al as presidents, I got to witness how they leaned and looked to the board for insight, input, and their expertise in areas.
Yeah.
And so, having that 8 years was really interesting. I had never been on a university board. So
for sure,
this was the first time I'd been on, industrial, industry type boards.
Sure. Business style.
Boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a great experience. And, I had been then asked by Albert if I would consider becoming chair. And that was kind of the next level, because it's like, okay, there's a difference between being on the board and
the level of responsibility. It's like okay, from the minor leagues, you're getting called up, no doubt.
So I really, I didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't going to say no. And that journey, Esther McIntosh was a great mentor for me. She was the outgoing chair.
Yeah.
We got to spend a year. She's become a close friend. Got
Esther's
to develop
incredible.
a tremendous relationship with Albert, over that span of time. And so I spent, really the last year in the chair role. And that kind of process led to where we are today. So
so this last year, working like you said, I mean, really hand in hand, because I think the board chair does take a much more active role and responsibility of working with the president to kind of shape what that looks like, but also be that conduit or that person with the board as well for that communication.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really kind of the magic that you feel between the chair and the president is, the ability to, for the president to have somebody to sound ideas off of and walk through things. The chair's responsibility is to the board of directors and the university, right? To make sure that information and so forth is flowing effectively. And with the president, it's to make sure that, you're having a good dialogue related to the things the president is working on, and that he or she is getting the support they need to go do that. And this last year has been amazing with Albert. He's become a great friend. And, I know a lot of things for him introspectively really made him step back and look at kind of what he wanted to do. And totally respect that, right?
Yeah.
So, we're all disappointed in some way, but I'm happy for him. For me, my responsibility was an effective transition of the president. So my first, move in the process was to bring a team that was made up of the board together, a working group. We had, I think, 5 former chairs in that with the committee, and then a couple of other board members to make sure that we had a good rounding of that. And that's where I got asked to if I would be interested in stepping as interim president. And at first I didn't really didn't expect.
Yeah, I was going to say. Then you caught your breath.
And so I think in that process, I have a good understanding. I've worked very closely with Albert. All the things that are on the table that need to be done. And I think one of the things that the board really wanted to make sure we did, I call it Morningside in motion, right? So we are, we have so many good things, right?
Yeah.
And they did not want that to stall out. So I think, going to a 2-year, they felt very much like this would give them an opportunity to really figure out what they want to do and look at a lot of different options.
As opposed to opening up a search or going through that.
Yeah.
And so kind of the thought with that was more, hey, we better keep it in your mind, that momentum and keep Morningside in motion so that we're continue to aggressively pursue some of these exciting things that we have coming up and some of the things, the challenges that are before us. So that we stay on top of all of that and kind of don't take our eye off of it. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
Yeah. And the example I use is, when John announced his retirement, it was pre-COVID. So we were starting a process to go through and find a new president at that time. And then COVID hit, and, the transition of a new president just really didn't make any sense. And at the time, Craig Struve was the chair, and he made the recommendation that we delay it. But if you think about what that does with John, he had a number of years, and so he could keep things moving. But even in the strategic sense, like he was kind of waiting for the new president. He didn't want to he didn't want to start stuff that would be So in this case, we got a lot of things, a lot of things going on, like the business school. We've got a number of high profile on campus projects that are consuming time, like IT, total transformation of our IT system. We have these like big meaty kind of pieces of work that can't just slow down.
One of the things then that begs the question, it may seem silly or small in the grand scheme of things, but I know there were a number of people on campus, whether you're talking faculty, staff, students, otherwise, but just me as an alum. One of the things that makes this place special is just that personal connection. And I worried a little bit about interim presidency, and I know you are close to family, and Cedar Falls is home or has been. Talk to me about what's that going to look like? I mean, now all of a sudden interim president, what's next? I mean, are we going to be able to see you on campus? I know you've been taking an active role since taking the job.
Yeah, that's great. And if I could just back up, because I think one of the things I'd like to say is that, the trust of the board, and also we have, I would say, one of the most amazing boards. I think the alignment of the board and the camaraderie of the board, that they can have wonderful discussions, and not every board's like that. And I think hopefully the Morningside community saw what continuity came from, a process and communication, to help communicate, steps that were not always clear. I'm going to be an on-campus president. I'm going to be here. I like to say I'm a people person. Like I like to get around and understand, who's doing what, and families, and how long people have been here, and what they need to do their jobs, and what kind of support they need. I think that's extremely important. And
probably it goes back and is a nod almost to your days, like you said, at Gateway or at Capital One, and just kind of being impacted by those leaders that were willing to develop culture and lean into. So it's really reassuring for me, at least, to know that I'm going to see you and that you're leaning into this rather than, or I think some people maybe feared a remote presidency or what that looked like, because people want to see people on campus, or people, expect to see their president on campus. And so stepping into that. And so you and Lisa are coming here full time, or what's that? You're leaving Lisa to hold down the fort in Cedar Falls?
She'll be here a good bit of time, I think.
Excellent.
I think, an interim role, like you said, we have family here. So, her in and out of here, and, me back there every once in a while is going to be, is a very workable deal for us.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And we're both very committed, right?
Yep.
So like we spent a lot of time talking about this.
That's for sure.
It's obviously important. I wouldn't have done this if I couldn't do it 110%.
Yep.
And, I think being all in is something that, when you're talking about, the number of people that this role is looking after in terms of, caring for, and the responsibility of it, you need to be in here 100% committed.
And have that support.
Exactly.
Have to be able to go home and have that supporting spouse, I think, is really important. And I've gotten to know Lisa. If you remember, we actually got to sit down and we had a really kind of good conversation at Bob Rose last time. I know she was on campus, and so we had sat down and the three of us got to know each other a lot. And I think the world of her, and it was very clear to me, not only her dedication to you and your family, but also she loves Morningside.
Yeah, she
loves this place as well.
I think she's an alum.
I know. And I would have swore the way that she knows these people and everything, it was pretty special.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny. I mean, just the little sidebar, right? Like, had I gone anywhere else, we probably, because she went to, California to go to school, and then got decided to
Yeah.
come back. I won't say homesick, but
Yeah.
maybe it was. I don't know. And so that connected us back together. And so
Yeah.
I think that always for us, like that's this is kind of where things
For sure.
really kind of reconnected for us. So
That's amazing. Kurt White is going to be stepping up into a new role as well. Shout out to Kurt because he's always someone that has supported me and been a big part of my life because he's a Delta Sig and so am I.
Yep.
And so, gosh, I remember tailgating and meeting Kurt even as an undergrad and then getting to work with him in the capacity because then he was board chair while I was, I think, here at Morningside working and then stopped back, but then now is stepping back into that role is my understanding, correct?
Yeah. And I felt like when this conversation really started to evolve, I think it was, really important. And I think this was universally true across the board, right? Not only did we want somebody in the president's role in the short term that was going to be able to keep things moving without a series of disruptions, right? Because we looked at a lot of different things, but Kurt being a past board chair and his passion and commitment and the time available to make sure that we have this thing kind of from all different angles, I think is something that was extremely important. We want the alumni, the community, the faculty, the staff, the students to know
everyone.
In time of change, that there are, multiple people that are Morningsiders or community members or giving their time to the board that are fully engaged. Yeah.
For the future of Morningside, I know you're a visionary. I know you like talking about, we, like you mentioned, we do have a number of large scale projects in the works or in the wings. I don't worry, we're not giving any spoiler alerts or any sneak peeks here on the podcast. But I think some of those conversations are being had about what is the vision and what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
You mentioned Morningside in Motion, but talk to me, what is that vision for any students, faculty, alumni, anyone listening? What's your vision for the future of Morningside?
Yeah, I'll talk about a few things that to me are really important because they absolutely impact some of our student athletes right now, and that is our baseball. And so we are working
lots of conversations,
working with a handful of folks pretty diligently to really get a solution for that. And that's one of my biggest has been one of my biggest focuses at this
probably
point.
Most pressing.
It is, right? So like that piece is kind of the puzzle is hopefully going to work itself out soon. I think the other thing is, we have a big IT project going on right now, and we're transitioning our infrastructure to Genzabar. I kind of joke like what we have today is what I signed up on, when it came to registration and the whole process, right? So, this is a big deal that Mark and the team and the campus is putting in place. And, I want to see this, for our entire campus community go off without a hitch. So, it's going to consume a great deal of my time to support Mark and the IT team and the staff and the faculty. I think this is powerful because it's gonna open the door to a more efficient way to do it. I think kind of tailing off that is, AI. And AI on two fronts. How we use AI as a consumption in terms of our community as a staff and as a faculty.
How we utilize
it in our jobs every day, right? And our comfort level with that and the safety of it. This flip side of it is how does it get used in the classroom and how do we adapt that to the disciplines that have varying degrees of use, right? So depending on what you do in life today, AI is kind of finding its way into the way you work. And so, in that vein, really pushing conversation around how this is going to shape the university and how we do things, how how we teach, what we teach, how it shapes roles, disciplines, new careers like prompt engineering as an example versus traditional coding. Like, how does that transition and change?
Yeah.
So these are all conversations that we want to make sure, from my perspective, in the next 2 years, this window I think is going to be very real as it relates to new jobs and jobs that go away and jobs that transition with needs for different kind of skill set.
Just the importance of evolution.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. So like this conversation is not about like having answers. It's about imagining where we're at and where we're headed and how do we prepare ourselves to meet that, whatever that looks like. And so that's another big conversation. And I think I would say the third thing is about the business school. Like, I want to get that done. Like that is something that I want to see done. And I'm going to ask, our alumni and to rally around the final fundraising. We're getting very close.
Yeah.
And
there is exciting momentum. I mean, it's great
Yes.
to hear about that project. And I think about so many alums that I've gotten to know over the decades that really, have benefited greatly from their business education here. And so a chance to have a state-of-the-art facility. Because for those of you that have not been back on campus, we still are utilizing Lincoln Center. You better believe UPS Auditorium is still there. And so we're looking for that change and that ability to evolve into the 21st century.
Yeah. And I would say of most importance, we are going to have a very large class coming into this fall. And a great returning class, so those are all wonderful things. I want to make sure that every one of our students coming into the 2025 fall have absolutely the best experience they possibly can.
Yeah.
And so that to me is about rallying our staff, our faculty, to give everything we can possibly give to make sure this experience for our community of students coming in is going to be live up to that expectation.
The best experience we can have.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. And I think what I loved about your vision and casting, especially these first not only 100 days. I mean, I know you have a lot on your plate. You were talking through some of those specifics, but also going through how it impacts the academic side of things, but also the alumni experience, the student experience, whether you're talking athletics. I know you've talked about dorm facilities, workout facilities, all kinds of stuff is kind of on the table that's on your radar, working through that. And I think it's important during these 2 years that we will do that.
The things that absolutely need to get done, and they get done right, and they get done with all the stakeholders being bought in.
Yeah.
And that level of execution is people have fun and they enjoy and they grow and they experience, the process of doing what we do, which is deliver a new graduate to the marketplace to go do what they came to go do, which is get a degree in their discipline, right?
Yeah, and that they are ready for that.
They're ready for that.
That's for sure.
The other side of it is I'm a believer that, our campus, you look back and you look at John's journey, he did a kind of a transformation 1, transformation 2. I believe we're ready for kind of that, next phase of 10 to 15 years. And I believe, when you look at our learning and living, as you think about
the
residential living, it's going to be a big deal for us to kind of reimagine how that works and fits within the campus.
Yeah.
I think students today are much different than when we grew up. Like, the different dynamics of their experience in their own household kind of create a different demand from us as a campus. And so finding the way to go do that. And then sports, like, we are known at Morningside in the Jeep, the Jeep as the place.
A powerhouse, right? That's for sure.
But I'm also very, I'm also very conscious that our coaches and our athletes need the facilities, and they need the resources to compete at the highest level. And working with Jim be meeting with the coaches as a group and throughout the year to really get a better understanding of what this needs to look like.
I think that you're seeing this campus hungry for that growth, and I'm excited that you'll be able to kind of put forward that vision. Chad, I want to really thank you as the director of alumni engagement, being a grad myself, 2009, to be able to sit down and visit with you as a 90s grad, but then also as this interim president, to just hear about some of the things that you're working on and just your vision for this future. I think it's been inspiring and reassuring. And I appreciate that. And what I want to do is I want to give you the chance for one final thought. One final thing, a message, and it can be specific or just, more high level. But what do you want to assure the people that are listening to this pod, whether they're alums, they're students, they're faculty, staff, what have you, of what they're going to get in these next 2 years in you and in this interim presidency?
Yeah, so I would say they're going to get hopefully the best of me. That'll be my intention, and that means me being 110% all in. It's kind of the only way I know how to do it. But I'd also say that we as a Morningside community need each other, and in times of change, uncertainty, it happens all the time. That things will be okay, and that I think this is a tremendous time for our alumni community to really step back and say, hey, how can we help Morningside? How can we help as an alumni? How can we help as a community? Our education facilities, right? And in Sioux City we have Morningside, we have Briarcliff, in the region. These are all important elements to the next generation of teacher, of a healthcare professional, of a new entrepreneur in business. Doesn't matter what that is, right? And so, change has been kind of in the air for a while, and we're gonna need to come together and just put our best foot forward. And I ask that, and I implore that to the Morningside, community, right? Like, this is our time to really take the campus and solidify it for the next 100 years, right? We're 131 years old. Like, that's kind of the way I think, right? If I can do my little bit to help imagine what kind of the runway can be for whoever comes in, to go, hey, I got the support and I got all the things I need to go implement and cast a vision and get it done. Like, that's what I would what I would leave everybody with.
Chad, it's been a pleasure. I thank you for sitting down, not only telling me a little bit about yourself so we can get to know each other a little more, but also sharing your vision for these next 2 years. So
thank you for everything you do as well, man.
No problem.
Appreciate everything you put forward. You are a beacon of example for anybody and everybody in this campus and our alumni base. So thank you.
That means a lot, Chad. I appreciate that. No. And I think a lot about the people stepping up in multiple ways, whether it's board members or yourself. So it takes a village, and our Morningside community, if nothing, bands together strongly. And so I've learned that throughout my life as well. So thank you for tuning in. It's truly been a pleasure to sit down. Make sure to listen to previous episodes. You can learn more about Chad's background or find some fun and interesting stories in other episodes of Inside Mside. But this has been an absolute pleasure. Until next time.